this is Mason, and you're watching the 315 with Brian Higgins. Now it's time to start the post-game show. Here's Brian.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, our last one of these for the year. That was that all happened. That game just happened. I am 100% certain that ball game just happened. We watched it. I'm pretty sure we were awake. It was stimulating. It was fascinating. It was man, what a final 2 months toward the year. What a final 2 months to the year. Welcome in, everybody, to our last football post-game show of the year. What are we going to do in this one? What are we going to do to keep ourselves entertained after Boston College 34, Syracuse 12? Shout out to the patented Joe Filardi fourth quarter touchdown drive for the Orange. Only a score of the day, appropriately scored today by one Dan Villari. Just a disaster fest of a season from the second Steve Angeli's Achilles snapped until the end. From the second that injury occurred, once the Clemson game ended, essentially nothing good nor useful happened to the Syracuse football program. It was just an unmentionably bad 2 months of Syracuse football. An unconceivably bad 2 months of Syracuse football. Just an impossibly bad 2 months of Syracuse football that we've just seen. And, hey, we've seen a lot of bad football. We know bad football. Was it time for Dino to go? Yes, it was time for Dino to go. Was there bad football during Dino's time? Setting aside the COVID season? Yes, there was bad football during Dino's time, setting aside the COVID season. There was not a 2 month stretch anything resembling this. I can't believe I'm about to say this. The Greg Robinson era. I don't think there was a 2 month stretch in the Greg Robinson era that even resembled this. Now, the last 2 years of the Greg Robinson era were completely devoid of hope. So, we kind of went into that with eyes wide open. But man, this was such a strange year, everybody. And link pinned top of the chat if you'd like to join vis-a-vis a video call. We will get the final Fran Brown press conference of the season when it goes live. We'll be keeping our eye on that to make sure we get you Fran Brown live here after the game today. This year is so confusing. This year is so confusing because, yeah, when you understand the starting quarterback got hurt and that it kind of went all down the tubes at the end of the season, I understand it. We don't like it. I understand it. We all wish they had a better situation at backup quarterback, but I think we all understand the possibility and the deal of that. But in Fran Brown's second year, I'm having a really hard time looking at last year and looking at this year and realizing that they were the same program. And it was consecutive years, and it is really, really hard to reconcile that last year and this year were the same team. I can't figure it because, everything they did last year just did not resemble this year. Was it all Kyle McCord and some of those veterans, Gadsden and LeQuint and Fadil Diggs? Maybe. I don't know. But to know that this group was capable of last year and capable of this year is just mind-boggling. It is hard to comprehend that both of those things were capable in back-to-back seasons. The Dino time period, it was, rise, 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 fall, fall, little rise, little fall. It wasn't we took a rocket up last year and crash landed this year. It is mind-boggling. And what will they do? What will they be going forward? I don't know. I do not know how to rationally predict anything about next year based on what we know from this year and the fact that last year also happened. If only one of the 2 years happened, I could find a mental path forward. Since both of them happened back-to-back, I don't know what to make of it. I have no idea what to make of last year and this year. Yeah, the schedule was easy last year, JM, and the schedule is harder this year. I think we all mentally accounted for the schedule being harder this year. I knew it was going to be harder this year. It's just the level dropped so far It dropped so far, it was shocking. They didn't just lose these last 8 games, they got absolutely run out of the building in all 8. This was blowouts in all 8. Hang on, where do I got the numbers? Somewhere here I got the numbers. All right. This losing streak, I believe, if we, carry the one, this 8-game losing streak was by more than 200 combined points. They lost 8 games in a row, which is terrible, but okay. BC had lost 10 games in a row coming into this game. It happens. It's not great, but it can happen. They lost these last 8 games of the season by more than 200 combined points. More than 200. The last 8 games. They lost the last 8 games of the year by more than 200 combined points. It's like impossible to comprehend numbers like that, losing by more than 200 combined points. Like, how's that even possible? How is that possible to lose 8 games by more than 200 combined points? Is everyone injured, Truth Hurts? Yeah, there's injuries, but this is not the most injured team we've ever seen. Like, yeah, the quarterback got hurt. Syracuse's quarterback gets hurt seemingly more seasons than not. And it doesn't, and even the years it falls apart. Think of Dungy's career. Think of the first 3 years. Yeah, it fell apart down the stretch in those years. Yeah, wins in November were basically impossible to find in those years. But at least they were fighting. Like, they were fighting. And it felt like the steam went out of it here in the last few weeks. I get it. Like, I mean, they're people. But, man, it really felt like the fight went out of this club here in the last few weeks. And here's the hope. Here's the hope going forward that, okay, that's a one-off. And it could be. Top 25 recruiting class come in theory, Angeli's coming back, in theory, healthy next year. Like, the theories add up to something that could potentially being interesting going forward, but I don't know. And I'm not predicting negative next year. I'm not predicting positive next year. Sitting here today on November 29th, I don't know what to say about next year at this point. I have no idea what to say. And JM, to your point, what's interesting, like Zach Mahoney quarterbacked a lot of those games, right, that we're talking about in those wacky years. Like Zach Mahoney shouldn't have been on the field for a D1 team like that. He had no business being on the field, much like Joe Filardi had no business being on the field here. But somehow they made it work, not to win, but they made it work to at least have a fight of it. I don't know, and I think what was going to happen in the portal? I don't know. The portal does not officially open until, is it January 2nd, January 3rd? But this next month of unofficial illegal tampering portal season is going to be fascinating. I don't think there's going to be a mass exodus. I think the players still really like Fran. I think it's a young group, like the young guys, the ones that you want to stay, in theory, all got significant chances to play this year and set the table for getting on the field more next year. But I don't know. It's just what a waste of the season. I don't know. Oh, I remember that game, T. Murphy. Zach Mahoney, at one point he had the most ridiculous strength of schedule. He was starting against LSU, against Clemson. He was playing some crazy opponents back in the day. Oh man, just a lot going on. Oh, do we have somebody on the line here? We could potentially sneak in a call here before we get to it doesn't look like the Fran press conference is quite ready to go yet, so we can make some things happen. We can make some things happen. Hang on just a sec, Marty. We'll get you up on the screen here in just a moment. Copying, pasting. Okay. All right. Hang on. There we go. All right, let's bring in Marty, who is clearly in his car right now. How's it going, Marty?
Well, it's going fine, except for this travesty, this debacle, this massacre. Brian, we have suffered a lot in Syracuse football in the last 20 years. This, what is it now? 8-game stretch was worse than anything than the G-Rob era. This problem is more It's not going to be solved with Angeli coming back. That's not the Band-Aid. They have problems inherent in the entire system. It's the defense, it's special teams, it's discipline, it's injuries, it's depth. Again, every shred of good feeling that came from 10-3 last year has been completely obliterated and lost. I don't want to hear dart. I don't want to hear wash. I don't want to hear thank you for this opportunity to play this game. It's like, if he wins 6 games next year, we'll give him another shot. The minute he loses game 7, he has to be jettisoned. He has to go. This experiment was a risky one. It did not work.
I think I just can't, Marty, like to your point, like this year being worse than the G-Rob era. Yeah. I'll still take the G-Rob era as a whole as worse, but even Greg didn't have a 2 months quite like this that we just saw. How do you rationalize last year versus this year? Because that's where honestly I'm having the hardest time. I don't understand how the same group that gave us last year also gave us this year. Because at least in the coaching staff, it was almost all the same guys.
I mean, he had Barron, McCord, go on and on. Wax, Meeks. We had good players. He was able to dig. He was able to bring in guys that they knew at A&M in Georgia. Those guys were gone. Obviously, they completely missed on the quarterback. Collins, he is not a P4 quarterback, and the thing totally blew up after that. But yeah, the defense was on the field a lot this year because the offense can do anything. The game was 6-6 at halftime. The defense was not being strained or stretched.
Right.
And they came out 3 plays and BC scored. The game was over then. And these guys, I don't care what they say. Oh, we're feeling good. We believe in this. They quit. They quit the last 2 weeks. They've 8 weeks in a row. We have been blown out 40-11. This is the most embarrassing I have ever been since I've been a Syracuse fan since '78, and we were 10-3 last year, and now we are the worst team in college football.
I think, Marty, honestly, that's almost what makes it worse, right? Like, hey, when the G-Rob era happened, we were all just kind of resigned to it. Those down years with Dino were like, all right. The Schaefer years was like, okay. The 10-3 last year, we all got the hopes up and just got stomped on this year. And I guess, I think to me, and it sounds like to you, Marty, that's what made this season so hard to take.
When game 7, whenever that is, October, November, thanks, Fran. We gave it a shot. It didn't work. Let's get a real football coach in here, not this slick snake oil salesman.
All right, Marty, appreciate the call. We'll see what Fran has to say. His press conference should be starting sooner than later here as we go along. But I think Marty encapsulates there what a lot of people are feeling right now. That I just, like a lot of the Fran stuff, winners get washed and all that stuff, and it's fun, it's endearing when you're winning. But when you're losing, and I'll say this to Fran's credit, he did back off some of the, like he wasn't trying to push winners get washed merch this year when they didn't win in 2 months. So at least he was smart enough to know to veer out of that lane. But man, it's just bizarre what happened this year. Thanks to Marty for the call there. If anybody else wants to do what Marty just did, the link is pinned top of the chat, and you can join the show as well. But I think that encapsulates a lot of what we're feeling. Like the G-Rob era, and man, I was there. Talk about doing halftime interviews for those with Greg. Those were just bizarre encounters back in the day. Like I remember the third year of G-Rob, so this would have been 2007. They opened with Washington in the Dome. A freshman, Jake Locker, started that game. And I said to myself, it was an 8 o'clock kick on a Friday night. I think it was a Friday night. And I said to myself at 9, because the first 2 years were so bad, I said to myself at 9 o'clock, I'm going to reevaluate at 9 o'clock. So I was giving year 3 of G-Rob 1 hour. We're going to reevaluate at 9 o'clock what we got here. And at 9 o'clock, like on the button, I think it was Locker himself, but somebody from Washington was walking into the end zone to go up 21-0. I knew then it was never going to turn. I think we all knew then it was never going to turn around. And then we suffered through 23 more games of Greg Robinson. So, like, the Greg Robinson era, the depths were just the constant low. Just the constant drudgery of you never felt like you had a chance. This Fran thing is bizarre because they went 10-3 last year. They showed up, guns blazing, Kyle McCord, all this stuff. They went 10-3. It happened. We enjoyed it. It was great. It happened. And then this year happened. And it's really hard to look at last year and look at this year and connect the two. It can't just be, oh, the quarterback got hurt. Like, it can't just be, oh, you had more veteran guys at the end of last year. Like, it wasn't just going 3-9, and they did go 3-9. They got outscored the last 8 games by more than 200 points. These weren't close. There wasn't a close game. They got outscored by more than 200 points over an 8-game losing streak. It was surreal what just happened. Last year was surreal in a good way. They're winning close games. I think we all knew at the time that, man, we're only getting one. Like, we were all trying to convince ourselves somehow McCord would find another year. But we all knew, like, we got 1 year of this guy. Let's enjoy it. And we all knew, like, that the chances of, the wife of the head coach working with the father of a 5-star quarterback at a hospital in Philly and then delivering his son to the program, that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Like, that doesn't just keep happening. You just don't have that many relationships with people that make that happen. So we all knew there'd be a slight step back. But you see the recruiting. We see what's going on in the portal. You're like, all right. And here's one of the things that I think has bothered me the most here about this season. Last year, one of my biggest questions, and I got a lot of crap for it in the lead up to the season because people were fired up by Fran. I said, well, let's hold on a minute here. And this is nothing against Fran. This is just, he's never coached a game before. He's never been a head coach. Any of us don't know what's about to happen. And I will say this, to Fran's credit last year and the staff's credit last year, like, there were a lot of big mistakes that happened. Like, there was some game management mistakes, that mistakes, whatever. But last year, it felt like they generally happened once. Like, they happened once, and then the staff and or players, however you want to look at it, assign responsibility or blame, they corrected and moved on, often within the same game. Last year, I remember almost every week saying, oh man, Jeff Nixon and Kyle McCord came out of halftime with some fantastic adjustments. Man, they really came out humming here in the third quarter. And I feel we said versions of that all year long. Now, yes, that's, they were winning games, so of course there are reasons they're winning games. This year they're losing games. But this year, how many times do we talk about where are the adjustments? How many times do we talk about, I can't believe they did the same thing wrong for the 87th time. It felt like all of the stuff they knew how to do last year, and it wasn't all McCord. A lot of it was, but it wasn't all Kyle. God bless you, Kyle McCord, and your chips, they're delicious. I cannot comprehend how last year happened and how this year happened. I can comprehend how this year happened. I can comprehend how last year happened. I cannot get my mind around the fact that those two things happened back to back. That, to me, is the most bizarre part of all of this. Still waiting on the Fran Brown post-game press conference. I thought he might want to get this one over quickly. Maybe he's having a long heart-to-heart with the people in the room. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, last year it did have Justin Barron. It had Cinco Clark, who made that great play for the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. It had Fidel Diggs. You had LaQuinn Allen. You had Kyle McCord. You had Aronde Gadsden. You had a lot of stuff going on. But, man, it's not like this year's team is devoid of talent, right? They're young, but they're supposedly talented, right? We've gone, for one, I had a hoodie on and I got some schmutz on it. But for two, 'tis the season. Yesterday I had a Santa hat on when we did No Wrong Answers. Today, this is holiday-ish wear. I'd say this is more winter wear, but this is like a holiday-ish Fair Isle-ish print. So, we got to, tis the sweater season. We got to go for it. But, man, I don't know. And last year, and I said this from the moment I met him in person, Kyle McCord last year, he was that dude in every way. Everything you hear about a quarterback being a leader of a team, being responsible, being studious, being this, being that, being whatever, he was all of that. And then we saw like those behind-the-scenes shots of him in the locker room when he's rapping after the game and doing this, and we're doing all that stuff. And you see how, like, why his teammates loved him last year. And, of course, they loved him because they were all catching for 1,000 yards and there were 1,000,000 touchdowns. But, man, there's so much. Thank you, Jen. Candles, yes, anyone may order candles from the Simply Sweet Sisters. Link will be passing by soon in the chat. Do I think the coordinators are right for the job? This part of the most confusing part of this year, to me, is Jeff Nixon. Like, I think Elijah Robinson, and we all know the relationship with Fran and all this that goes back forever. Like, it feels like the issues with Elijah Robinson's play calling were similar last year to this year. Last year, I thought Jeff Nixon called a great game for McCord. Now, how much of it was McCord? I think, especially when we get to next year, is something we're going to get. Then we got to this year, and, like, all right, Angeli started slow, but, UConn game, second half, and the Clemson game, you could see in the framework of the offense, they were running the same offense, but they were doing enough different stuff on this to fit the strengths of Angeli versus the strengths of McCord. Now, was that Angeli making, he seemed to prefer throwing a slant while McCord liked to work the perimeter? And was that Angeli just making different reads, making different decisions versus McCord? Was it play calling? I don't know. But whatever it is, play calling and quarterback, that's a marriage. That's, that's hand in glove. That's things that work together. And I just thought that Jeff would be more able and or willing to make changes once that was no longer available, once it was very clear that Ricky Collins was not, and apparently nor anyone else on the roster was capable of that. I thought they would be willing and able to make changes, and they weren't. And then we heard, and we've talked about that repeatedly, like, it was just we didn't see the changes, we didn't see anything like that. It felt weird to me because last year I thought we saw that from Nixon, and this year we didn't. Then with Elijah Robinson, we know he's a stud recruiter. We know everyone in the country would love him to have him on their staff as a recruiter. But there's also, like, reasons, whatever. There's a reason that this was his first defensive coordinator job, right? Like, if you look at his successes and where he'd been in his history, in theory, you'd think he would have been a DC already. Not that he's old or anything, he's not, but just on the career trajectory he was on and the places he was at, you'd think he would have made that next step. And for whatever reason, he hadn't. So here's the question for Fran now, and Fran has said they'll both be back. Now, obviously, things can change. How do you take that and make it set up for next year? Like, there are ways, like, do you take the play calling away from your boy, Elijah Robinson, who you grew up with in Jersey? We know how much Fran values that. Like, what can you do? On the offensive side, now, if Angeli's back, all the stuff that Nixon was running, in theory, can work again. Because with Angeli, they were averaging, 38 points a game in the first 4 games? Like, they were scoring. It wasn't a problem. But if he gets hurt again, everything's just screwed? It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Now, if Jeff is just like, I'm sick of this, I want out, like, could he go get he could go get a running back coach job or whatever in the NFL, like, easily. Like, he's still a good coach and a really nice guy and a smart dude. And, like, in all my interactions with him on the air, off the air, I've really, really enjoyed talking to him. And I really, I found him interesting and respect and a very good back and forth. Elijah, same thing, nice guy. I don't know. I know, here's what I do know, though. If this year had happened in the Doug Marrone era, both those guys would be fired. Doug ran his staff in a very NFL guy. He churned it. Some guys were there every year. Not a lot of guys were. Like, you had the gig, you got fired. He'd fire somebody in his staff basically every year just because. But Doug also put together his staff like not of, his boys. Then when Shafe was here, like, I mean, this was kind of his whole thing, right? Like, they had this whole group of people when Shafe was here. It was like, whoever gets to, this is a story that was always told by all of them, whoever gets a head coach job first, we are getting the band together. Like, that was always the story that was told. Whoever gets a head coach job first, we are getting the band together. And Shafe was the one that got the head coach job first, and he got the band together, and it was a lot of great dudes. Like, that was a really good group of dudes that Shafe got together, including shout out to Clark Lee, who's just absolutely killing it at Vanderbilt and got a 6-year, I think it was 6 year. He got a very hefty extension the other day. Good for Clark. But Shafe wasn't a head coach, and it just didn't fit. He had a bowl game the first year, but he never had the highs that we saw from last year. He never had the highs that we saw from last year. And that still, to me, becomes the hardest thing to rationalize about this year, is last year. How did they both happen? How in the world did last year and this year both happen? Like, the G-Rob era was a bunch of this year's. Not as bad, but it was 4 bad years in a row. Like, the Babers era, like, Dino's strengths and flaws were pretty clear over the time. And, his strengths were good enough to win some games, and his flaws were evident enough that it cost him games. On and off the field. Be it recruiting or not. Be it, scheming or not. With Fran through 2 years, I don't know what to think. Like, when he got hired, the hire seemed bizarre. And then what he did last year it seemed inspired. And then what happened this year again, it brought up almost every question that I had going into last year. And yes, there was injury, truth hurts, but this wasn't just injury. They didn't have such an amount of injuries that you lose your last 4 games or your last 8 games by 200 points. And yeah, this year to me, I predicted Matt NY, I predicted 7-5 before the start of the season, but based on the schedule was brutal. It played out that way. Anywhere between 5-7 and 7-5, as I thought where they'd land. But even say they had gone 6-6, let's split the difference and say they went 6-6. Like, I thought they'd be in the games. Like, you didn't think they'd get stomped on. You thought their issues would be youth and a tough schedule. This year, I don't even know. I don't even know what to make of it. We're still waiting. Is this the longest we've ever waited for Fran? It makes me wonder, like, is the internet not working, or is Fran doing, like, a really, 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 really long locker room end of the season talking to? Sometimes it does take longer after a lot of times coaches, they address the seniors, they kick the seniors out, they do whatever, and then they address the guys that are going to be back, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and Jen, to your point, there are going to be changes at the university. Is this Severune's last year? Is he done in the spring? I've lost track of when he said he's retiring. And I don't know the current state of Wildhack's contract. I know for sure that the Fran hire being a successful one was very important to John Wildhack's future at the time. And then, you bring up Red, that's going to play into all this too going forward because, there is very likely going to be a decision that needs to be made on Red at the end of the year. I have a feeling just the way the season plays out, it's not going to be 100% obvious when we get to the end of it. Yeah, I know they're searching for it. Is the goal, is the idea the new chancellor starts beginning for next school year? I think that's true, but I don't, you never know. Like, chancellor searches are often very long and drawn out academic processes that have a way of not lining up with athletic calendars in any remote way that can possibly happen or make sense. Did Carney play the total minutes of one quarter? Maybe. Certainly not two. Yeah, Red can get a 4th year without making the tournament. Like, we've gone through those scenarios. All right, let's say they lose to Tennessee, and we'll have Tennessee post-game show coming up on Tuesday. Tennessee's good. You lose that game. Losing that game in isolation is not a problem. And then you win a bunch of games. Like, you could end up being a 20-21 win team and have not really any wins to hang your hat on and miss the tournament. And then you have a chancellor search ongoing, a football season that probably cost you a lot of money because there was nobody in that building today. And you have turmoil at the top. I don't know if turmoil is the right word, but it's not settled at the top of your academic organization, which then leads to, okay, what are the trustees going to think about it? Like, there's a lot of external factors here that have literally nothing to do with a basketball going in the hoop or a football going in the end zone that influence all this stuff. Oh, man. Well, the Carney thing was for him. Carney wanted to save his red shirt. He wanted to save his year. And that's not necessarily to use at Syracuse. I don't know if he's going to be here next year or not, but he wanted to save his year for him, which I understand. But at the same time, like when the season was imploding, like if Carney, you're going to get the opportunity to play a lot this year. I understand why he didn't want to burn his red shirt on playing a series a game or 2 series a game. I just don't understand why they didn't end up with a game where he played a lot. That never made sense to me. Oh, man. So, like, if you're the coach, like, say you forced Carney to play today just because, if you're Fran, that would be so beyond petty and that would be something that is held against you in recruiting and what. Hey, we got a picture from we have a picture from inside the dome. Perhaps Fran Brown is getting closer to us. There's a picture from inside the dome. All orange Powerade bottles. They finally figured it out. But, like, yeah, if you're Fran, and we know Fran, say what you want about his in-game coaching or how the season writes, we know he knows how to think through recruiting, right? We know he understands the recruiting game. Like, if there's a kid who wants to redshirt, and it's borderline like this, yeah, you could have played him more, but okay, why? And you tell him, no, get in there, like that, there's blowback on you in recruiting. And everything that we don't know if they're going to get on the field, I'm certain he understands that off the field. It's the meshing of the two things, which is the meshing of the two things is the job of the head coach. And the meshing of the two things is the thing that's complicated. What I would have done with Carney, and maybe they saw in practice he just wasn't ready at all. But once the season was screwed and you knew you were playing with house money is the wrong term, but once the season was screwed and you knew you were playing out the string, I would have gone to Carney and said, all right, Luke, here's the deal. We want to get you in more now. I understand about your red shirt, but let's do this. We'll get you in and hopefully get you a starter or two down the line. And then when Steve comes back next year, you'll have an opportunity to compete. But if he wins the job again, while you could be the backup, we're also going to work in a way that we're not going to toss you out there for no reason. We'll try to get you a 5th year by redshirting you next year. I would have had that conversation with him. And it doesn't feel like to me the way the season played out that anyone considered the idea of that until it was already too late. And yeah, I don't know. Oh, man. All right, waiting for Fran. We have eyes on the press conference room. We'll see what Fran has to say after this one. I don't know. The whole thing's just the last 2 months of the season. There's no way to parse the last 2 months of the season. That there's no way to parse the last 2 months of the season and come up with anything good. Like, nothing. Yeah, Jakari Williams, it sounds like Jakari was actually hurt. There was talk that his arm was in a sling last week, but at the same time, all right, tell us he's hurt. Like, and Nick, like, to your point, you don't want reps going to someone that's not on the team next year. Well, like, at some point, you got to deal with the team in front of your face. Like, I get that's why you're not playing Collins down the stretch. I don't know how that affected Carney. Like, I don't think they're acting like Carney's gone, right? Now, maybe he is, maybe he's not. A lot of people are assuming Carney's gone. I'm not assuming Carney's gone. Collins is gone. We can all agree that. Like, there's not a 0% chance that Ricky Collins is back on the roster next year, nor should he be. That wouldn't be good for everybody. Yeah, I don't know, Matt NY. Like, I didn't hear anything about a Jakari Williams sling until last week. I hadn't heard word one about that up until last week, Matt NY. So I don't know. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. And yeah, it was a boring watch, Kev. And unfortunately, Like, let's think back to the last month of the Dino era. Like, that month was zany, right? But they were trying so hard to save their jobs. They were coming up with every damn trick in the book to go with that offense. Yeah, they totally mismanaged. Now, here's the other side of the coin of that. That, all right, maybe nothing was going to work anyway. That said, the way they managed Carney in his red shirt, I think, was terrible. If you knew that you 100% wanted to save Carney's red shirt and you knew the season was going to crap, you could have backplanned it to get Carney, like, play in this game. Carney should have been available to play today. The fact that they used him a couple series last week and in some of those other games was such a waste. Like, why not get him in today? You knew this a month ago. Like, even if you were in denial of where the season was going, you knew this a month ago. The lax quarterback won't be. I bet, Filardi will be on the roster if he feels like it, JM, because he's not going anywhere. He actually wants to be here and play lacrosse. Like, I actually feel sort of confident he will be on the roster next year if he's on a football roster anywhere. Now, maybe he just goes lacrosse. Yeah, Steve McQuaid, this is what I've said, and I've laid out this plan for 5-6 weeks now that you should have laid it out for Carney to start today, or the last two, or whatever. You could have planned it out from the last bye week to here. You could have planned it out certainly from the end of October to here. Yeah, last week made absolutely no sense. Especially, and here's the other side of the thing. All right, you told us on Monday that Rich Bielin might play. And I'm not saying Rich Bielin would have made the difference of anything today, but if Rich Bielin was available, there was also zero reason to not put him in the game today. Like, what harm? I tweeted this at some point in the game. Like, I'm now curious just to see if it can get any worse. If he's that terrible, toss him in and it stinks more. Who cares? Just do it. Like, I don't need to see any more of Joe Filardi. I'd love to see more of Joe Filardi when he has a long pole and he's out there with a lacrosse team. I've heard he's great. I want to watch Joe Filardi play sports at Syracuse for 4 years. I just want that sport to be lacrosse. Like, I'd really like to watch Joe Filardi play for 4 years. I just want him to play lacrosse. He clearly has some athletic instinct about him. But the dude was a stud lax player on Long Island. I'd like to see that. We continue our wait for Fran Brown, head coach of the Syracuse Football Orange. He will be in this box here when he appears from the right of your screen. Yeah, like, Bruce, my guess is that Bielin is probably playing a different position next year. I don't know if that's wide out or D-back or whatever. But I think with him, from everything that I understand about that, talking to Mike McAllister and others that would know these things, that when Bielin was recruited here, like, that was understood during his recruiting. Like, we're recruiting you as a quarterback. We're going to give you a chance to play quarterback, but if that doesn't work out, we also value you as an athlete and we want you on the program regardless. That was my understanding of the recruitment of Rich Bielin back in the day. So, I don't know. Where is Fran Brown? Where is Fran Brown? We are waiting for Fran Brown. I did No Wrong Answers predict MJ Burke, the Valariization of it today. Early thoughts, Dan Villari is our Wild Birds Unlimited Big Air player of the game, right? Like, just a career achievement, played his ass off, actually cared, kind of nutty. Man, this is a very long post-game whatever Fran's having with his team to not have been in here yet. The game ended more than 40 minutes ago. I think, I believe this is, I don't have my official record book nearby. I believe this is the longest we've ever waited for a Fran Brown press conference. And then, yeah, I'd say to have this happen, like, think of the last week of Syracuse sports. 70-7, those 3 games out in Vegas, and now this. Oh, man. That's 8 days of fun right there. That is 8 days of fun. What's going on in my, I got the quad box up. at the moment. Oklahoma 17-13 over LSU, trying to preserve a spot in the college football playoff. Oregon's beating Washington. The quad box, I couldn't figure out a quad box that was going to give me the other games I wanted without putting Oregon State, Washington State, and more CW on my TV. Oh my goodness. I cannot handle any more CW. Like Tom Brenneman. Hey Tom, I'm just like, are you aware there was a game today? It was such a bad broadcast. Can't even deal with it. Oh man, they claimed the weather on that one, TH27, but by the time the quad walk would have happened, it was perfectly nice outside, all things considered. Now, I understand they wouldn't have had their normal time in the morning to set up all of the other stuff they normally do, but whatever. I was out there hanging up Christmas lights during the time they would have quad walked, and we accomplished our feat. They should be on right now. I think I set the timers properly that they should be on right now. Yeah, it sounds like Lane's on his way to LSU. I don't know what the timing on that's going to be. Oh, man. You know things? Yeah, the CW today was... The CW, that broadcast is so bad. It's so bad. And Tom is just... I mean, Tom is mailing it in just beyond any possible level of mailing it in. It's unbelievable how much he's mailing these things in. Like, it was just... Like, they didn't seem aware that the Boston College quarterback had gotten hurt until a quarter had happened. Like... The quarterback's walking to the sideline holding his hand. Bill O'Brien's disgustingly called timeout to deal with it. They didn't notice he was leaving the field. Like, they didn't notice it happened. It was amazing. It was amazing. Okay. Still waiting for Fran Brown. We are still waiting for Fran Brown. Radio host will be removed. We're running out of radio hosts to remove, TH27. We're almost out. Who else could they remove? Oklahoma has won. They now have a 99% chance to make the college football playoff. That's a good percentage. That's a good percentage. All right, Fran, where the hell are you? We're just tap dancing around and filibustering at this point because this is going a very long time. Waiting for Fran. Waiting for Fran. It's kind of too late in the game to sneak in another call before Fran because he could be here at any second, but the link is pinned top of the chat if you would like to join the show once we're done. Waiting for Fran. Fran! Where are you, Fran? Come talk. Maybe he's getting some, maybe he's doing some Christmas shopping. Maybe he's on Amazon between, working the Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend deals. You never know. Could be working some deals. Got to get them orders in. He could have gotten lost on the Amazon app somewhere. It can happen. Trust me. Last night I was boop. Oh yeah, I was tip-tapping around all over the place. We were making moves. We were getting stuff done. $3 off. Who can resist $3 off? Okay, where the hell are you, Fran? What will Fran Brown say? What will Fran Brown say? Yes, who predicted it? Yes, he will compliment Bill O'Brien. He will mention the seniors. Yes, taking a call that you don't have time for always makes things appear. It's the magic of broadcasting. It's and then we now go to no, never mind. Stop. Fran Brown. See MJ Burke. Where is Fran Brown? As the restless reporters sat waiting to file their final football stories of the year. I'll keep you all apprised of this. A couple questions for you, Chad. Well, this is one statement, one question. I do not know yet. I need to check in on this. Early signing day is Wednesday. I'm not sure if Fran is doing a live presser for that or not. If he is and the timing works out, we'll do a show around that. Where did I get this setter, Johnny Warbell? I do not recall at the second, nor can I see my... is there a way I can see my tag? I don't really want to be stripping down here on the... I can't. What's the tag say? I forget where this one came from. It's a fantastic sweater, though. Should I plug a sponsor? Like Wild Birds Unlimited? What a great place to buy a bird feeder with a camera in it. Yeah, he'll be thankful. And here, right on the screen right now, simplysweetsisters.myshopify.com. Use the code Brian315 to get 10% off. Jen did it, bought some candles. Oregon Cuse the other day bought a sweatshirt or two that's headed cross country. I don't think it's quite arrived yet, but yeah, lots of nice purchases from simplysweetsisters.com. Wait, the camera is bouncing around. Does that mean the cameraman is getting antsy or preparing for Fran Brown's arrival? Antsy. Antsy seems to be what's happening. Other question for you, chat. Gio doesn't like me. Other question for you, chat. Here's what I'm pondering. Expand the channel, where to go next year. What if I were to add like a live hour a couple of days a week? Something like that with guests or whatever, just chatting. What time of day is good for y'all? I'm thinking maybe in the new year we do something like Tuesday, Thursday at 11 o'clock. And then those of you that can join live, great. And if you can, it'll be up there for consuming on the drive home and whatnot later in the day. But if there's times that maybe work better for you to join me, let me know. That's the thoughts I had. That yeah, you can call in. Yeah. Internet call in. I'm thinking you could call in now, but I'm anxious. I'm staring at this backdrop, awaiting for Fran to appear. There's Tyler. So Fran will be coming in here shortly. Fran Brown. Here comes Fran Brown. 8 losses in a row.
Just want to thank all the seniors for all the hard work they've done all year since I've got here. Just constantly working, coming to work every day, just enjoying everything, right? Being able to be student athletes, I feel like they've done a really good job, and they show guys so much in so many ways, right? I know didn't have all the wins that they wanted, but we learned a lot from those guys in losses. We learned a lot from those guys just how to lead, how to continue to fight day in and day out, and I'm very thankful for all of those guys that were seniors that got to play their last game here.
Standard opening statement.
Fran, aside from Steve's injury, which you've
Brent
covered,
X.
how did we get here that you ended the season with an 8-game losing streak?
We didn't get wins. Nah, you figure. Just look at today, right? Our top receiver going to week 3, week 4, had 5 touchdowns in 4 games. He was out. Top running back, he was out. We shuffled our offensive line the entire year. You're playing with so many guys all the time. Devin Grant still was limping out there today, who we thought would be a big knockout safety for us. Projected to be a first 3-round draft pick, but when the season started, got hurt, never got back from his injury well enough. And just different guys in and out all year, from Deuce Chestnut not being able to play, not being able to be healthy, trying to get the different guys to go in. And you just got to have the other guys in the back ready and the guys ready to play. But I felt like we just continued to shuffle all year long, right? There was a shuffle of guys when you just go and look at it. And when you say the quarterback situation, I think that's on every level. You go to the NFL, when they lose a quarterback, it's a lot that's done in that. And when you're running the NFL system, it's kind of similarities that happen, which is why we've been working on doing something opposite of that as this next season comes in, things that we'll implement and that we'll be able to do for the next season. And just throughout spring ball, to being able to work so we won't get caught in that situation. And then we got a bunch of guys that'll come in that will be able to help. You want to continue to stack the depth at all positions, so no matter who goes down, it's almost similar and almost the same.
On the quarterback,
He's going to bring in Jameis. Bring in Jameis!
difficulty developing a backup that could operate the offense.
Because they were extremely young and just new to the system, like freshmen. Right, last year you think Kyle took almost every snap, and the backup to Kyle was Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson left, and he's at another school. You had Jakari, who was down on the scout team, working with us the whole year, so he was running a different offense every week. Wasn't exactly in that offense. And then through the season, Ricky was here to try and learn and do things, and Ricky hurt his thumb, which gave us an out that I knew, okay, we got to go get this quarterback. And we knew who could play, and once he went in and we were able to get him, we were confident in that. But we knew that Ricky was learning the offense throughout that time. I didn't expect Steve to go down in week 4, right? If he didn't go down, we'd probably be talking a whole different mindset right now, but he did, and I learned so much through this, though. I'm telling you, of making sure you got 4 to 5 really good quarterbacks, right? Especially when you're able to use the portal. High school might not be the thing to do all the time for that position. Other positions it may be, but there's some things that you got to be able to allow the program to continue to move on, because we can't be like an NFL team or a college team where there's so many young fans and young kids and all people around that. They expected to see something different, so we got to be ready for that.
That's the key going forward. Like, he keeps saying he's going to learn. We're going to find out next year if he did.
You used him in the Wildcat a lot. Was that something you were planning on doing kind of throughout the week? And, was that something you were kind of game planning for, using him in the Wildcat?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do all week. I went and I told him that this is what we was going to run and what we would do, and we had a chance to get that roll and get that done. And then as they moved in different pieces, put different stuff in the box, it just was a little bit of a change up. Still trying to run him, but just got behind a little bit too fast, right?
Too fast? It was 6-6 until right before halftime.
Role before. But what does a guy like Dan kind of mean to you and mean to this program, I guess?
At
a
halftime.
guy like that in his last game.
I think he exemplifies Dart. Any player that comes up here today and you ask them, they'll say Dan works extremely hard. He does everything right. He's on time everywhere. If everyone on the team does what Dan does, we'll reach all of our goals. Dan's a great kid. He's a faith-driven kid. I love Dan. He means a lot to me. I know he leads a lot to his teammates also, but his mom and dad did an amazing job raising him.
Coach, with just what transpired over the last 2 months, how much will this motivate you going forward?
What?
A lot. I'm very motivated. I'm excited. I can't wait to. So you got the 3rd. You got some next week, signing day. I have a few guys want to go in the portal. That'll happen throughout the month, and don't get crazy. And that's cool. That's a part of the game. January 10th, though, is where my eyes on. All of our commits will report to campus. The 11th, we'll have our team meeting. And then the 12th, we'll get ready for us to be student athletes, right? And I want to take full advantage of everything that we have the opportunity of doing come that time. But I'm very motivated. I'm excited about it.
And just what was your message to, obviously you had a lot of seniors to honor today, but what was your message to
There weren't that many seniors, were there?
the locker room?
We get to, not got to. You get to, not got to.
Just what does that mean exactly?
You get to do what you're doing right now. You don't got to do it, right? You get to do it, and that's the mindset and the approach you need to have. Make sure you know that you get to and not got to. I just stated that to them, and I went and I wanted to communicate with the seniors and stuff like that. But then Steve and all those guys took over that room. We got a real good group of leaders coming back next year that I'm really thankful and excited about. So those guys kind of went and they talked to the team.
Get to, not got to.
Fran, when we've talked to you on Mondays, you've mentioned there will be changes next year.
Chris
How
Cross.
much change do you anticipate on your coaching staff?
I'm not sure. I don't want to say anything irate or just make impulsive statements and things like that. So I will have to go back and sit back and watch film and go through some things and then talk to ADs and stuff like that of giving some expert advice, and then we'll figure all those things out. But right now I'm just focused on there's a lot of recruits here tonight still. Even though it's a record, we got a lot of big-time players on campus and people on campus to go to dinner and things like that. So I'm just living in the moment. When that time comes, we will. But I'm not really thinking about that.
Fran Brown focused on dinner.
Back. Is that still the case? And if so, what makes you feel the defense is headed the right direction?
We're just going to watch all the film and go through a bunch of stuff. And then I don't want to make any bad statements or impulsive things. So, I'll deal with that next week after we get a week of self-scout. It's important that you just sit there and go back and watch everything and just do it the right way. Just overall, I want to make sure I do that.
Coach, how dirty for you is funny. Winners get washed, Fran. When was your last shower?
Faith, always. Just what you can say about
Dan
your
Tortora.
faith in this team, their faith in you, your faith overall in God, and just taking a look at what's more important.
My faith is strong. That hasn't wavered at all. It's unwavering faith. I believe the team got faith in me. They understand. They know I'm going to make the right decisions when it comes to giving them the opportunity to go and be successful. There's some decisions that I'll have to make coming up for the football team, for Syracuse, and I'm going to make the right decisions for those. And then I think that their faith is strong also. Like, I think all of our faith is consistently building. That's something that we talk about all the time, and being able to go. So that's what I would say when it comes to that.
And then knowing that you get to build around Steve Angeli once again, just what you can say about the fact, I know you said going into the season he has a relationship with every single person on the team. What's it like to build around him as your nucleus, and just what you can say to that effect?
And his Achilles.
It means a lot to be able to do that, but also in the same sense you want to be able to do that around the offensive line. And we're going to build around that offensive line and Steve. Because if the offensive line is right and we can run the ball consistently, we will never be in this storm that we're in right now. So it's important that we're able to do that, and that's something that that'll be a huge emphasis this offseason for us to make sure that that happens, to be able to help Steve, right? So that everyone isn't just coming up blitzing him like crazy and doing things of that nature. And our offensive line will continue to work and get better. They're young. You got Byron, you got Cam, Joe Cruz, Trey Mack, and then we'll be seeing who's going to be the center. You know, it's a bunch of those guys, but we got a lot of guys coming back, and then we got depth behind them. Skyler and all those guys are ready to play, Jaden Mann. So we're pretty deep when it comes to the offensive line, and I want to make sure that that's the vocal main point of the team to go along with Steve.
Yeah, said Jelly the MVP.
Fran,
Maybe you should get an invite to the
touched
Heisman.
on, the injuries earlier, and injuries that will either test your depth or affect your team chemistry. Can you talk about those two things and how injury impacted those two areas of the team?
I mean, it did. I just have to adapt better, though, as they do. Those injuries definitely affected the team. I mean, you see that from a quarterback perspective, from the wide receiver, and then from the running back, and then got to go and put third-string guard at center and just different things of that nature. So, I mean, that affected it, but I can't complain about those things, right? We're competitive. Football coach, you just got to keep going, right? And I got to learn from this storm that was here right now and then be ready to adapt to it and do it the right way next year.
Doug Marrone for O-line coach?
Earlier in the week, Steve, a freshman, you'd like two more quarterbacks in the portal. What does that mean for guys like Joe and Luke and Rich and Jakari and stuff like that?
I'm going to just go back and watch the film. I don't want to make any impulsive statements or decisions or anything right now. You know, the same thing that goes with the coaches. I think they all deserve the utmost respect. They've all done a good job all year. So to just say, I just know that, I mean, the nature of this business is crazy, right? It's different. It's the nature of the business. I mean, I got to go out and recruit and things like that, but I just can't tell you where anybody stands or anything right now. You know, kind of focused on we just lost, and then I got some really good players on campus that we need to get to commit to be able to help us not go through this again.
But Jakari and Ricky will be gone, and Joe will be back because he's on the lacrosse team. Luke, your guess is as good as mine. I think he'll be back.
What was the mindset coming into this game? Was it like, all right, let's just get it over with, or was it something different?
No, it's never just get it over with. It was let's go run the ball. Let's be able to run the football and to make them stop the run. We got to keep running the ball. That's what we're able to do with Dan and him getting to run the ball and try to get Dan and Will going to run the football, and then being able to run it on the edges and set those things up to set other plays up off of that. That was the mindset of being able to do that.
And after
Coach, did you want to cancel the game?
You mentioned that this team is going through adversity. Considering you guys lost your last 8 games, how would you say your team responded to that adversity?
Poorly.
I mean, if you judge everything by wins and losses, right?
Yes.
If you're judging it by wins and losses, I would say not good. But if you're judging it by life, which they're still going through, and things that have to happen, I just tell them to watch me. We talk about these last 2 months. These 2 months of life are going to be 2 months that they're going to face in the real world. They're going to face as men, right? We're all men and women, and you go through some tough times in life. And I talk to them about you got to make sure you're there for your family. You got to be able to hold yourself accountable because your family going to need you. Y'all could be going through a change of job, not having those things. And there's 2 months of I'm on a job. I really can't stand my boss. We don't get along. These things aren't working. And you got to continue to work. You got to lock in. Right? I talk to my players about family situation, things that happen and go on. We use those 2 months the same way. And I'll tell them, you might be in an argument. Kids, if the family's not feeling all like it's going to work, Don't leave the house. Go sleep on the couch. Stay focused. The storm will pass. You just continue to work. So I just took this and I use life. Like in life, we're going to go through things, right? I grew up pretty tough, pretty hard, and there was a 2-month stretch of my life before that was extremely hard, and I made it here. And I know and I believe, and not even just I believe, I'm almost promising that I know we'll make it out of this, and I know our football team will be 5 times better than we were this football season. There's a lot of things that I got to learn from the structure of running the football team, just being able to do things, understanding and knowing how to lose. I wouldn't think that I would have been able to stand in front of them 8 weeks straight and be able to talk, me knowing how much I love the game. I've cried every single loss that we've had my entire life, so being able to do that, I would have thought possibly you can't do that. What would I have to say to them? Where would I be able to be at with them? And if it wasn't for the man above just being there with me and pushing that, then those things won't happen. But these 2 months, and it's life. And we got some seniors that are not going to go play college professional football. They're about to go attack the real world, and they're going to work. And I hope that they can use this and say what we went through, what Fran kept talking to us about, where I'm at right now. I'm going through this with my wife. Let me go lay on the couch. Can't leave the house. Let me make sure I get these things done. And I just take this as life lessons that will help. So we always talk about I want to win the right way. So to be able to build everything and do it all the right way, I'd rather lose if it's not going to be 100% the right way. So that way we have something to sustain on. And I think that as you talk to our young guys when they come up here and they talk to you, all the players on our football team, you'll see we all have the same vision. We all in the same direction. I got to make some decisions and some moves to put them in better positions consistently so they can go out there and showcase their talent. I feel there's a lot of times that I didn't do that and mess those guys up. So we'll make sure that we get those things done. I'm confident in the administration, me being able to sit, talk to them, and get everything straight, get everything done right. But we're going to use these next 2 months as life. And if this could be the hardest 2 months of their lives, then I'm cool with that.
But what about football, Fred?
A lot about what you've kind of started to learn here now through 2 full seasons here as a head coach. What can you say is the biggest thing you've learned about leading a football program as a head coach?
There's ups and downs. We had all the ups last year and all the downs this year and everything that you could possibly go through. But I probably learned a lot more this year just from a staff perspective, from the players, being able to keep them motivated, continuously keep them going. I know when the players are at a point where damn near broke now, and how you got to be able to grab and get those guys back and being able to push and go. I mean, it's tough losing 8 games the way they practice, the way I'm demanding that those guys go out and practice. So everybody need to be upset with Fran, but from what they done and how they worked, it's a lot that I got from them. But I would just say that I learned a lot about the players. I learned a lot about our team. I learned a lot about how to manage a team, how to continue to run the football team, and how to be able to keep them motivated and keep them working, right? It's easy to do it when you're winning, but when you're losing, it's a little difficult, right? It's hard. It's hard for guys as fans to stay fans, right? You don't want to stay fans when guys are losing. Like a lot of people can't face adversity. They kind of run when it's not looking good. They're going to go the other way, right? So we're just going to keep receipts and just work extremely hard. And I'm learning how to love my players unconditionally. I'm learning how to be there for them through ups and downs. And as long as the players and myself, I got their back 100%, and I know they got mine. Y'all see us get out of this storm, and it's going to be pretty fun for us next year. January 10th, everybody start to come back, 11th to 12th, and we're going to work and dominate January. Then we're going to go into February. Then we're going to take it month by month until the football season starts, and we'll be ready to compete.
Watch out, January.
Thank
there
you.
Goes Fran.
Thanks a lot.
Fran Brown exiting the podium after the final game of the football season. Imagine we'll have players coming up here shortly. Hopefully, Dan Villari will be at the podium today. I imagine he will be. So we'll check back in on that. Uno momento. Again, link is always pinned top of the chat if you'd like to chime in here on the post-game show. I don't know, typical Fran press conference. It's one of those things where there's so much big picture stuff put in there. Yeah, I think Fran handled it fine. All jokes aside, but there's no way to judge anything on what he said to the future, right? Which I think is also his intent. It's Fran's intent that, okay, this year sucked, but it's going to set the stage for something better in the future. And he's right. Or I'll say this. If he's right, we'll look back at this year, if Fran's tenure goes back to being closer to last year than this year, we'll say, man, what a weird second season that was, but they made it out the back end of it. It's just, I feel that there's a lot of people when they take over programs, it's a slow start and then a build, but they had such the fast start and then boom, like it's a really weird, situation. Here we got players. Demetrius Samuel. We got Delorier. I don't have it on the screen for you, so you can't see what I'm talking about. There's Delorier. Valari. There's Valari. I really only want to hear from Valari out of this group, but
Dan, for you, what have you learned about yourself these past years at Syracuse, culminating in the season today?
I learned, you're not judged on your wins, you're judged on your losses. When times are tough, that's when you show your real character. So when times have been tough, I made sure to play hard for my teammates and just show who I really am.
I've enjoyed the life and times of Dan Valari when he's been here.
Dan, when did you learn that you'd be featured so heavily in the Wildcat position today?
Beginning of the week.
What was that reaction and conversation like for you?
I said, I'm ready. Let's do it. That was it.
Dan, obviously, how do you
Just
kind
keep
of
the camera on,
be
Dan.
remembered, I guess, from your time at Syracuse? Obviously, two different stints. You did the Wildcat quarterback and obviously a bunch of years here, but how do you kind of want to be remembered?
Just a versatile player that was tough and gave everything he had to the university and to his teammates.
And I think he will be.
Antoine, I know I asked a couple weeks ago, and you said you weren't ready to talk about it. Do you know at this point what your plans are for next year, or do you need to sort of talk
Antoine
to folks about
Delorier,
it?
super
I mean, I love everything that we're doing
no.
here at Syracuse, right?
Offer.
I'm 100%. You heard Fran say it. He's got our back, but we've also got his. I love the dark culture. I'm trying to build something here, and I can strongly say that Syracuse is the place I'm going to play next year. I want to build something special here, and yeah, I think that's my answer.
He's got a wild accent. It's like Georgia high school football where he played mixed with his French-Canadian background. That's a great
be in a
accent.
different situation next year, in terms of winning games.
I mean, so much. I think it starts with the leadership, right? We'll figure it out throughout the whole off season. I think the culture is there. We just got to stick by the plan and follow the leaders, right? That's the main thing we got to do this off season.
It's like a Canadian southern drawl. It's amazing. Protect him at all costs.
Demetrius, defensively in the second half, just why do you think Boston College had so much success on you guys after compared to, I guess, shutting them down in the first half?
I'm really not sure, to be honest. We just got to make the plays that come to us, really, as a team. And I think once we continue doing that, it'll just be a better second half performance.
Did Valari play with Josh Black? Did they overlap? What do you think of your old teammate?
Obviously, you lose your quarterback.
To get to
that's
wrestling
tough.
that way.
Any team's going to struggle some. But was there a point in the season where it felt like it was getting away from you, or you guys weren't going to be able to bounce back from that?
Oh, no, that's not something that we thought about. We never thought that we were going to end up in the position that we're in right now, even with losing our quarterback. That's not something, we're not just like, oh, let's throw everything away. We work hard. We work extremely hard. And, once we lost Steve, it was like, that sucks, but we got to figure out how we're going to make this work. And that's just something that we continue to work towards week by week. And, we didn't end up with the results that we wanted, but like you heard many times, we learned a lot from this, and, we're definitely gonna build on this for sure.
To quote Felicia
Was there a point
Leggett,
where, like,
either
you
you
guys
win
felt like,
or you
man,
learn.
it's not gonna
They've been
happen?
learning for 2
Like,
months.
I know you never gave up, but like, you guys just aren't gonna figure it out like this season.
I mean, nah, that's not really a thought that we had. That's not what we push in our culture. We take everything week by week and day by day, and we just continue to find ways that we can improve. And I don't think that anybody quit or gave up.
For Demetrius and Antoine, on Wednesday there's another signing class coming in. Fran has talked a lot about young players getting on the field as you two did this year. What would be your advice to those young guys to step in January and try and make an instant impact as you did?
Well, I think trust yourself and trust the coaching, right? If you're at Syracuse, there's a reason why Fran picked you, why the coaches picked you, right? So I think that they're putting everything in place for you to be on the field. So trust the process, trust yourself, trust the coaching, and just do what's right. Do everything the right way, and you'll end up being on the field.
I'll kind of say the same thing, but I'll also say, like, ask other teammates about how college life is. Like, we first came in here, we never really played it down, or we didn't have no clue kind of what it was going to be like. And just kind of like just leaning on the seniors a little bit, trying to get a gist for the game and how playbooks go, and then just asking them little questions even when you're on or off the field about how can you be better and how can you understand. So just leaning on your teammates, really.
And then, Dan, you've seen a little bit of everything.
We'll get to you after the players here, Truth
Parting
Hurts.
advice for this team and the incoming players to stick with the plan here in a moment where it's at its most adverse?
Yeah, I would say stick with the culture and individually try and be great. Try and be great and look at the guys around you that are great and follow them. I don't have to tell any of these guys that. They know that. So, the new guys coming in, look at these guys to my right and work like they do, come to practice like they do, and play on Saturdays like they do, and just spread the culture, spread it.
I've really enjoyed dealing with Valaria for the last 3 years.
Dan,
He always tells it
along
as
the
it is.
same lines, what are some of the aspects of maybe not just your game, but being a teammate as well that you want to see replicated in future Syracuse teams?
Man, I just think positivity, and just practicing hard. Man, I just always try to, on a Thursday practice, I try and run somebody over. Like, I just try to show people that practice is extremely important, and it's a reflection of the game every week. So I just try to go hard all the time.
This question is for anybody, primarily the returners. Coach Brown, he said that there's a lot of things
Who do
he
I
and
hate
his
dealing
staff
with?
could do better.
That's for another
and
time,
there
Matt
might be a
Edline.
lot of changes coming as well. What are some things you guys would like to see in the coaching staff, or what are some changes you would like to see with the coaching staff?
Hey, freshman, fire some coaches.
I wouldn't really say changes. I would just say, like, just playing more together and just executing what's being called. It's so much the coaches could do, but at the end of the day, all the players were on the field, so we just have to be able to play on the same page and just play hard, to be honest.
I mean, I'm not sure Coach Fran said that there was going to be a lot of changes. He said he still has to watch film, think about it, and analyze the situation, right? But whatever Coach Fran feels like it's the best for our team and it's the best for our culture and Syracuse football, we'll all trust it, right? We'll all go with it. We believe in him. We believe in the person he is and the coach he is. So whatever changes he may make during the offseason, we're all going to be with it.
I need Antoine Delorier to become a huge star. This Quebecois Southern drawl thing is fantastic.
Not similar lines, but just for anyone, what is it about playing for Coach Fran that makes you confident that this was a one-off year for Syracuse, and in the future it won't look like this?
I mean, I say for me, not being somebody that's been around a long time in this program, I could tell you that everything that Coach Fran, said that we are and what we're going to be about, that's what we've been. And, he's somebody that we all got trust in. And it's not just this trust is built with personal bonds. We all have one-on-one bonds with Coach, and and it's definitely a privilege to have a coach that cares about us like that. So, when you got somebody who cares about you like that, you want to play for him and you want to back him up in whatever decisions that he makes. And I know ultimately, deep down in my heart, that he's going to make the right decisions to make this program elevate.
JM, I actually already burned the film of this game.
Be prepared to come to work every day, like 100% in attack today. Like, I would say it was never been a day where Coach was just like, I don't feel like coaching, or like, I don't want to do this. He came in there with energy every day, and it just try to inspire us and just tell us, like, to continue to go. Like, no matter how high or what position you are, like, you can do anything. Like, just work hard.
Yeah, and then, for any of the returners, just what you guys went through over the last 2 months, just how do you think that will motivate you going into the off season and then into next football season?
Really just using it as motivation, to be honest. We remember the feeling from this season, sadly how it went, but we just don't never want to go through that again. And I don't think none of us up here ever been through nothing like this. So it's just one of those things where it just leave a bad taste in your mouth, and you want to just be able to work in the off season to make sure it never happens again.
All right, last one, if anybody's got it. Otherwise, we'll let this guy go.
Going once.
Demetrius and Antoine, you guys were pretty much the face of the 2025 class on that defense. What's kind of been the message from Fran and Coach E about how you guys are going to anchor this unit moving forward?
Really just coming out here every day, just trying to have a dog mentality. And if you don't have that dog mentality, then don't even step on the field, to be honest. And it's just like every day you got to come to work. And you not got to think about it as work. It just got to be something like, this is what you want to do, this is what you get to do. And, yeah, that's basically just it.
Sure. And it means a lot for us that the coaches are trusting us enough to put us on the field, right? So coming back, like Demetrius said, it's going to be a lot of work, right? A lot of leading, a lot of work. This is both the first time in college, so we didn't know what to expect, but we followed our leaders, we followed the coaches, and our teammates, right? And I think next year is going to be our turn to take on that role and really lead this defense to winning, right?
All right, there we go. The players having their say to walk off. That's a hell of a bag that Demetrius Samuels got cooking there. There we are, our last post-game press conference of the year. Fare thee well. Fare thee well. All right, we do have to get our next caller on here. Hang on just a second. Let's hit the proper buttons and make this happen. It's Truth Hurts from the chat who's joined us vis-a-vis the video chat under the name Rick Da Truth. All right, Rick Da Truth, if that is your real name. Welcome in. Thanks for hanging on through the presser and hopping on.
Thank you, Brian.
What's up?
What's up? Congrats to the players for sticking up for their coach. Respect to the players for staying loyal to coach, to promote their loyalty through their words, because they can't do it physically anymore, their loyalty to their coach. Dart.
Yeah, I'd say that, Rick. Like, if we're trying to take anything positive out of this season, of which there's precious little, whether the team quit or whatever on the field, I don't think Fran has lost the team. Based on how you hear Delorier talk and how you hear Samuels talk, and that's the one hope, like, to use every coaching terms that we all hate, like, you gotta flush it or whatever, like, you just gotta take this season and chuck it. Hopefully they learn something, but yeah, if this is gonna work, these young guys are gonna be hopefully stars at some point, and the two guys we saw sitting up there today would be leading the list. So that's the hope anyway, Rick, and we'll find out if that's what happens going forward.
Can I say something that people may not be aware of as far as how the internet might play a factor in how these boys play?
All right.
I think because I think the elephant, not even the elephant, the thing that we have to be aware of, that we walk around with our phones, or we walk around with some access to what's going on in the media. And, that includes the players, that includes the coach, that includes the staff, etc. So that includes your dog, your cat, your bird. Anyway,
My fish is logged on right now. Big online, that fish.
Anyway, so yeah, I think, whether we know it or not, okay, if we continue to spew this hate towards the players and the coach, I feel like, like with everything else, there'll be a balance. Like, we're gonna spew so much hate towards the coaches, towards the players, that somehow through karma, it's gonna come back on all the people that spew the hate, because you want your team to win, but at the same time, you're not helping by throwing these baby temper tantrums on the chats, on the comments. It's whack. It's out of style. It's corny. All right. It's weak. And another thing, why don't you go to practice and say it to their faces? You can hide behind the keys and spew your misery, but can you say that in front of the players? All these guys are much younger than y'all, and when they get older, they're gonna be stronger than y'all, because all the extra non-necessary pain you give them. This ain't helping. This is not helping.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's you go down to SEC country, it's like 8 million times worse. All this stuff. It's unfortunately the way of the world when it comes to sports. And I think Rick, you add in all the NIL money, it gets 20 times worse with how it how it goes. But it's it's
Also,
you're probably right, but it's the passion of the fan, right?
Yeah. I don't want to like say random things, but I feel like I have some key things to say.
Let them fly.
Well, you got to start the conversation first, because I lose my train of thought, but I want to stay focused, and I don't want to waste anyone's with dead air on the air, but this is what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to compare, the zeal of his players with the zeal of Trump's cabinet. You know what I mean? They're all on fire.
I'm intrigued to see where you're going with this.
No, this is what Fran was. No, dart, MAGA, dart. You know what I mean? There's that same passion, and then you see that. Like, I really feel like there's a family there, because Coach, if he's the number one recruiter, then he's the number one relationship builder. And he's from Camden. Shout out to Camden. Where there's pain. Okay, 50 Cent got shot 9 times in order for him to gain respect and the so-called worldly fame. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to be a black man today and be successful, you got to take your 9 shots, whether that's verbal attacks. You know what I'm trying to say, Brian?
I think I've lost.
You got to earn your stripes. It's ruthless out here. If we can spew hate on the chat boards, why can't Coach eat his apple during a press conference? I mean, come on. Why not? And it's gonna come to the point where, listen, I'm tired of you, somebody's revengeful demon is gonna just come out and smack you, or have your wife cheat on you or something. It's like, and plus, Coach he always gives his props to the one above. He always does that. That which just shows his humility. And then we continually smash him. Smash. It's just ruthless. But good thing, Coach is from where he's from, and that means he's also where he's at, the mental state, all that. He can take the shots, and then when he comes back, which I hope, I can't predict the future, but with the loyalty you see from his players, from the commitments, you got people from Florida telling us to chill because we stupid with our talk, we got people from out of state telling us to chill. And it's not 4 or 5 stars decommit. It's 3 stars after they talk with Fran. Man, yeah, y'all just getting more insulted and humiliated with the more crap you talk. And that includes talking crap to Autry.
Rick,
am I wrong?
Hey, I mean, it's sports, man. It's the good and bad of sports, right? It gets everybody's
who brings the money in town? Who brings the money?
Up.
I'm sorry. Who brings the money into town? Who brings us entertainment, risking their health for us?
It's true, but they all, I mean, the counterpoint is they all know the business they got into, right? Like, and they're making a lot of money.
Well, no, not Fran. Now, I wouldn't say Fran, because Fran mentioned that Las Vegas is also a number 1 place for gambling. He said that. Any coach going to mention that?
I mean,
With
hey,
all the gambling that's going on today,
there's plenty of it. Fran's making more money than me, though. I know that
with all the
damn
crap
sure.
he's get, with all the trauma with him, his mom, his wife, his kids, do you think that he deserves a raise? Absolutely. With all this crap that he has to deal with in 2025, it's different. We got more media, we got more comments, more words of hate. Trust me, man, all this affects us. The blue screen is in our lives daily. You cannot tell me that he and we are not reading this crap. Imagine the stuff you go through reading all this crap. People talking crap about you, having a worldwide mugshot like Donald Trump. Imagine the crap he's going through.
Rick, I appreciate
that's
the
all I
passion.
gotta say.
All
Thank
right,
you,
man.
Brian.
You have a beautiful night, Rick.
Thank you, sir.
That's great to have you here. That is Truth Hurts from the chat. We took some detours there. That's all right. We are also on the internet. Oh, man. We like the passion. Hey, sports is passion, right? There's a reason we're all here hanging out after such a terrible season. If anybody else would like to do that, yeah, you watch out for the blue screen, Kev. I don't know if anybody wants to try to follow that up or not, or if that's just how we're gonna. It almost feels appropriate that is how we end our football season. Though we have to name our Wildbirds Unlimited Big Air Player of the Game because shout out to the sponsors. There is some money on the line here, though significantly less than Fran Brown's bringing in on the daily. Shall we do that? Like one last look for the football season at the Wildbirds Unlimited Backyard Bird Camp. Yeah, we're all that like these post-game shows. Like the whole point of post-game shows is we're all insane and we show up to share our insanity with each other. And yeah, does it blow out into the world on the players and the staff? Yeah, should you feel bad for them? I suppose a little bit, but 'tis the life they've chosen. Like Fran's making whatever he's making, $3.5–4 million a year. The players now at this point are all making more than a lot of us are making. So it's like it's a really weird dichotomy when it comes to college sports these days. Anything going on in the backyard other than it's probably pitch black? Will we get to see the nice white blanket of snow that has enrobed central New York here over the course of the last few days? Bird cam loading. All right, our Wildbirds Unlimited Big Air Player of the Game as we head to the backyard. There we are. There's a little nice snow build up in the corner. Could have been tough for the birds that were attempting to fly during the day the last couple of days. Kitchen light off. Okay, we've got the deck lights on, so we got a lot of things going on outside upstairs. Yeah, if a Cardinal shows up right now, I'll say this, Matt NY. When were we last year? Wednesday we were doing this for the Iowa State basketball game. So we do the post-game show. As we do, we show the camera. Nothing's going on. Yeah, I hadn't turned the camera off, and I'm sitting here doing like post-show editing and whatnot, and I just hear like this, for lack of a better term. Enjoy that sound in your ears of me smacking the microphone. I'm like, where the hell is that coming from? Like, is something wrong with the recording of this show or whatnot? And then I realized I still had the page with the bird cam open, and there was a Cardinal that was just straight chilling. I'm like, so I just watched. I sat here and watched the Cardinal. He was there for like 5 minutes just hanging out. Anywho, with that all said, our Wildbirds Unlimited Big Air Player of the Game is Dan Villari. What are his final stats? I don't care. He ran the ball. He scored the touchdown. This is like a career achievement award for Dan Villari. He's a guy that, think about the career of Dan Villari. He was recruited out of Long Island to go to Michigan and be a quarterback. And he ended up a tight end at Syracuse who, when things turned to crap, he ran the ball a lot. Like, he's had a very, very weird collegiate football career, but through it all, every time I've dealt with him, he's respectful, and he also, doesn't really necessarily have a filter on some of the stuff he says, which we all appreciate here on the media side of things. But man, 2 years ago in that final month, Dan got put in a really weird spot. Basically, Dino, in an attempt to save his job, the result of that was Dan Villari getting the ever-living crap beat out of him for 1 month straight, and Dan just stood it and did it well. And it almost worked. And today, well, nothing almost worked today. But Dan Villari, a salute to you as your career came to an end and the end of what had to be a really, really tough season, I'd imagine, especially for the seniors. You, for the last time this year, Dan, are our Wildbirds Unlimited Big Air Player of the Game. Shout out to our guy, Dan Villari. Okay, yeah. If anybody wants to follow up Truth Hurts after that, you are more than able to give it a shot. But we've also been going here for like an hour and a half already because it took forever to get to the press conference. A schedule for this upcoming week. What do we got? We only have the most important non-conference basketball game in the history of all time in regards to a head coach at a school. Syracuse and Tennessee coming up on Tuesday. That's a 7 o'clock tip, so we'll be along roundabouts 9 for the post-game show after. Yeah, Dan Villari acts like and plays like he's in 2025, but he acts like and looks like he's in 2025, but he plays like he's in 1952. The whole thing was wild. Yeah, but we'll be here after Tennessee. Stay tuned. Fran's doing or not doing signing day pressers. There doesn't seem to be any cohesion to it. I feel like he was out of town last year, so we might have a signing day show on Wednesday. We'll figure it out. We'll get back to a TPS report with Jordan this week as well. Current plans for that are Wednesday evening. Maybe that changes depending on if there's a signing day something or not, which is on Wednesday. So we'll figure that all out as the days churn along here. But get them Christmas lights up, everybody. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your Sunday. The Giants won't lose tomorrow because they don't play till Monday. And we'll talk to you all when it is December. But thanks for hanging out with us all football season for a surreally, disturbingly entertaining, albeit terrible, season of Syracuse football. Wait, I've wrapped up the show right as Mike in Connecticut is hopping on the line. That was a whole dramatic wrap-up for the line, but we can sneak in Mike in Connecticut, or is he just trying to show off his candle? We were about to end the show, but the beauty of being on the internet, despite all its disturbances, is that you can have people call in just for the simple fact of showing off their. There we are, Mike. You've got the Simply Sweet Sisters. Oh, you've gone with the coffee. You hadn't tried it out when we talked the other day. How is your coffee candle?
Something's gonna wake up this damn offense. I don't care if it's the off season. Something's gonna wake up this offense. Brian, you had a hell of a year. It started off. You're almost the inverse of the football team. You start off losing your job in the radio station, and you've rebounded with a great thing on YouTube that lets crazies like myself and whatever that guy was to express ourselves. So thank you for a hell of a season from you. I said we get Dan Villari on here for maybe a post-game chat or something like that. Maybe the Wildbird sponsors, like Daniel sponsor do it. But like, I'm burning this candle just to say thank you for letting us loonies live a little bit. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Actively holding the glass jar while the candle is on fire, and it could explain the Band-Aids on your hands right now. That feels so
good. I'm getting caffeinated just smelling it.
There we
Good
are.
story.
There we are. All right, Mike. I appreciate the call. As always, glad to have you. And if you want a candle like Mike, simplysweetsisters.myshopify.com. I think I actually do have Villari's cell, so I may actually reach out to Dan because I think he would be a fascinating conversation. So with that, we shall head out into the night. Have a good evening, everybody. We'll be back here basketball post-game on Tuesday, and do stay apprised for other stuff we got going on this week. But hope you enjoyed that football season. I don't know a different way to phrase that. Hope you enjoyed the post-game shows this football season. We'll chat again as Red tries to win the biggest non-conference game in the history of mankind on Tuesday.
Thanks for watching the 315 with Brian Higgins. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. We'll see you next time.